I'm hitting buttons, I gotta quit hitting buttons. Let's see, where's my camera? Let's see. I think we're doing. This hooked up in the mount before we get folks in here. Hey, Dad. I'm here. Got the washing machine going in the background, but trying to get my other little phone set up so I can try to see chat a little bit here and there while I'm turning. It's off to the side, so it's hard for me to watch it while I'm turning. Trying to get me a little tablet set up for that. Let me switch my glasses. This will help. I put my I can see glasses on. Gotta clean them. Ooh, yeah, I gotta clean them. Hope everybody's doing good today. Get back over here by my phone. Right now, I just use my phone and the microphone off my phone for all my videos and everything. So that's why that beach video the other day, for any of y'all that tuned in, that's why it was so horrid. I don't have a gimbal or a good microphone to block that wind, and yeah, I'm just figuring this stuff out a little bit. So, but yeah, and then I don't do that often. The only reason I was out there like that is because my son had a job fair to attend at the Holiday Inn's little auditorium out there on the beach, and so I get to play chauffeur because he don't have a ride right now, and so that put me out there. And then with the wife's truck acting up a little bit, I didn't want to drive back and forth, so I was just gonna hang out while he was there. So yeah. All right, trying to get the smudges off my glasses. Let's see, Tim's list. Hey, Tim. Hey, Billy. Hey, Lee. Thanks for stopping by. Wowie. Yes, sir. Thank you. This is a piece of cedar. It's two-tone. It's got some of the heartwood and some of the sapwood on there. This is a piece out of that box that my buddy Jonathan at Hedrick's Homegrown Aquatics, he bought me. And I turned a bunch of it when I first got it, but like I said, it's awesome, but it's very, what is the word, aromatic, and the tools I use create a lot of fine dust, and then sanding it puts a lot of fine dust everywhere. So that cedar, it after so much, it stops me up. So I could only do so much of it at a time. I love turning it though, because I love the grain and the colors in cedar. But this was you see, it's kind of rough shaped. It was marketed as firewood splits. That's how he found it online, and a big old nice size box of it. And it was fairly, I mean, it wasn't cheap, but for as many pieces that are usable, if you were to try to buy say clean cut rectangle blanks like pin blanks or something, it would have cost way more for a box as full as what this was. So it was an awesome deal that he got, and it was a total surprise, and I love it. But yeah, I'm gonna put my mask on. I gotta have my mask on when I'm doing this, and turn my vacuum and stuff on, and get with it for a little bit. Hopefully I don't blow this one out. Like I said, I've been doing a lot here lately, but I got to get some roach clips built up, and so if I'm gonna turn it, I'm either gonna try to make a video out of it, or I'm gonna go live if ain't nobody else out there. I got to get used to this and all that good stuff. So let me see. Let me look at chat. Let's see. Right. Oh goodness. Got some. How many? I can't see that good. Awesome. Bunch of people in here. Thank you for showing up. Y'all hit the like. If there's anybody new not subscribed, please subscribe. I normally drop a video once a week on Wednesdays, and then here lately with the lives, it's just sporadic. I gotta get a routine, because I am a creature of habit, and I operate better off of a routine. So once I get that kind of ironed out, we'll figure that out. But there's so many awesome creators out there doing lives. It's just I got to try to find a spot to fit in without stepping on anybody's toes, because I want to try to support everybody. Like, that's the cool thing about this community. We try to support everybody. So yeah, I want to try to fit in where I can and not step on no toes. But all right, I'm babbling, so here we go. Noisemakers. I'm gonna get my OBS software set up where I can get my music going in the background too. Perry's gonna help me set that up. I get so anxious and get busy doing stuff that I squirrel out instead of doing that. But I gotta get that going too. So here we go. Real quick, this is a good example of why I do my blanks round, because I'm working on that budget. And so if I pour my blanks in a rectangle mold, I'm gonna have to knock all those corners off of the epoxy, so that's wasting a lot of epoxy. So it's like doing them round, I could almost get 2 blanks to 1, versus the waste I get by the time I get this knocked round. But all right, that's babble. I'll get back to it. But that's what I'm doing here, is I'm knocking it all around. Once I get it true round, then I'll start working my shapes and stuff into it. Hey Tina, thank you for showing up.
Alright, let's get back at it. it's getting there. Hold on. Hold on, let me turn it off. We're getting there. There.
It should probably be about the size of a quarter about the time I get it true round, and then I'll start doing I'll get it thin down here for the end and start doing my design to it. Well, that cedar smells good, but it's everywhere.
It's getting there. Almost.
Turn that off for just a second so y'all can hear me. I feel like I'm yelling with that thing on. For anybody that was watching when I was doing that epoxy one the other day, when the clip broke on me and then I kept getting them hangs, I was using my jaw chuck right here to hold it. When you do that, the the motor has no give. You know, it's holding on to that piece, and unless that motor stops, that piece ain't gonna stop. Y'all see it stopping right now. If I get too heavy-handed, the piece just stops. The motor will still spin because of the center, and then it's just a free bearing down here. And so it's easier for me to turn that way because it's less stress on my motor. And then when I do get heavy-handed and push in too hard and get those catches, like I said, if you got a hold of it with that chuck, it's unforgiving when you get that catch. It's gonna get violent sometimes. So you got to be really careful doing that. But yeah, I'm just I almost got it round. There's still a little bit of flat spot right here, a little bit right in there. But yeah, this is gonna turn out and be a nice one. But yeah, I'm gonna bring it down to nothing on this end so I can put my clip, and I'll probably do a flat bottom on this one just to make it easier on polishing it, because I'm not going to seal this with anything. I'm just going to sand it down, and then I'm going to use the Yorkshire polish on there because it's got the beeswax and mineral oil in there, so that'll kind of soak in and make the grain pop out, but that's the only finish that it'll get, so it'll still be somewhat natural and have like a cedar smell. Jonathan, yes sir. See, that's my buddy that bought me this box right here, Hedrick's Homegrown Aquatics. Yes sir. Thank you, buddy. And he pushed me to get into this YouTube stuff too. I hadn't been wanting to do this, been talking about it for a while, and he kept telling me do it. So yeah, here I am, crazy self and all. All right, I'm gonna get back at it.
Started playing hide and seek on me. I couldn't find where I put that door. There we go.
That's where I'm going to part it off at right there. And then I'm going to bring the clip in back to here. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of room right here and right there so the pressure pushing in. So in case I have a whoopsie, I might be able to recover.
That's a good reference. Ooh, yeah. Just bang myself up. Beat it down a little bit there. Getting there. All right. Oh, that's good. blow out. Woo! There, that stamp got a boo-boo. Look out. Yeah, a little bit closer, so my fingers don't get stuck in there. Sorry, y'all. I'm in the zone. I ain't even thinking about the truck. My bad. Hey, Natalie. Hey, Amy. Hey, Sean. Hey, Mamie. Thank y'all so much for being out there. Oh, goodness, there went my phone. Used to work on I was recording with. Alright.
Let me turn that off for a minute. Oh, goodness. Oh, I gotta prop up for a second. Have a good night, Miss Tina. Thank you for stopping by. Hey, hey, no beginnings. cool. We got some people watching still. Thank you for tuning in and watching my craziness. This is gonna be a cedar roach clip. Y'all can see the shape I'm going with. I still need to bring it down some on this edge and probably all through here. I'm just trying to go ahead and define the shape I want, and you can probably see a little bit of tool marks in there. So once I kind of get my idea, then I'll go back and try to tune it up a little bit more. I'll bring this edge here down just a touch, try to keep that shape and go through here, and I want it to kind of be symmetrical, you know. I want it to kind of round out right here and it look kind of even, and then taper down to the next step. And then I have to bring it down to my clip. But if y'all can see, my tools are sharp. It's just the carbides that I use and the angles I go, it almost peels that wood, so I have to start getting real careful. I'll be able to take it down a little bit more, but once I get to a point, I'm probably going to have to finish it with the sandpaper. And then, of course, once I sand it up, it's going to look just awesome. But, yeah, that's where I'm at for now. Let's see. Gotta make sure the wife hasn't messaged. I get in trouble. Okay, cool. I'm good on messages. All right. Let's see. Oh goodness. Yeah, I gotta keep the mask going, because that's even the bad thing about it is once I'm done out here, it's gonna be cedary for a few days. But at least it smells good. But yeah, it's not gonna be bad. I don't want to blow it apart down here. I've been blowing the wooden ones apart right there here lately, so I just have to be careful. But all right, I'm fixing to get back at it. If anybody's new out there, please like, subscribe, leave me some comments. I drop a video every Wednesday making roach clips. Roach clips is probably 90% of what I do. I am going to get set up and start doing some pins and stuff as well, but roach clips that's my jam. So all right, y'all, thank you for watching. Here we go.
I gotta be careful. I've had so many of them break right there. I'm nervous. Alright, here we go. There the air goes. It needs to be skinnier for my clips to hook on. That's the nervous part, because this wood's so dry, it'll splinter real easy if I'm not careful. we're gonna do some sandpaper right there. That's enough brown. And mess with this one a little bit. I'm opening that side up so I don't catch trying to clean this side up. Okay.
I'm gonna do this a little different. I'm gonna use some 120 when I start off. Normally I start with 150 when I do the epoxy, but this has got some rough grain, so I want to smooth it down. And I'm gonna try to take use the sandpaper to bring this down a little bit smaller, so I don't bust it with the tool. Because right now I'm being heavy-handed, and I know if I try to go any smaller, I'm gonna end up splitting that. So I'm gonna do the sandpaper to finish it up. But look, hold on. I feel like I'm yelling still. I'll give y'all a shot of what it's going to be before we start cleaning it up. But I was just bringing this down some. I'm going to take this and put it on my bandsaw and lop the end off right there, and then I'll sand it by hand and get it down good. And like I said, I'm going to use the sandpaper to bring this the rest of the way, because this is dry wood, and it's by no means stabilized or anything. So I just have to be real careful down here, because like I said, it's so dry it'll splinter up easy if I'm not careful. So with me pushing the pressure and it having pressure from both ends, it's an accident waiting to happen. So it's good and strong once I take it off the lathe, and I'm not squeezing it from both directions. But all right, let me get back at it. We got Bones. Thank you, sir. It's gonna look real good once I finish it and sand it. Like I said, I'm not gonna clear coat it or seal it with any urethane or shellac to make it glossy. I'm just gonna take that Yorkshire polish and go over it with that, because it's got a little bit of mineral oil and beeswax, and then that'll give it a little bit of like a natural kind of shine, but that'll slowly soak into the wood, and it'll have more like of a matte finish versus a glossy finish. But it'll still have the cedar smell to it too. That's the cool thing about it. And then whoever gets it, they can turn around and put any kind of wax or oil or anything like that on it to kind of keep it from splitting. But I don't think it'll split because it's so dry already. But yeah, I love the two-tone colors. That's one thing I love about cedar. A lot of the wood spirits and stuff I carve is out of cedar, because there's so many awesome colors in there. I love cedar. But it's heck on my sinuses. But all right, let me get back at it. I'm gonna get my sandpaper going. Like I said, I do it the same way I do the epoxy, but I start off with 120 grit first, and then I'll jump into 150 and then run through my grits like that. And then depends on how it's looking. I won't wet sand it, but I'll use the fine sandpaper just without the water. But all right, here we go. Gotta have my dust mask on, that's for sure.
Alright.
Now once I get it sandpapered right here some, I might get brave and put the tool back on there. But with it being a rough wood, those carbide edges just they grab, and it's the way they're made, the material just pulls them into the piece, and so that's where you have your blowouts. So I try to be patient and not get heavy hands, but like I said, I can't help it half the time.
Alright, got the mask back on. This is working, it's just going to be a little bit slower. You see, I am removing material. And then I have to be careful how much pressure I put on it when I sand. I tend to try to get a little aggressive, because at this point I'm ready to sit down and get some support from my back. And I don't know if y'all can understand me through my mask or not, but we'll see. And then right here, I'm just trying to get all the tool marks out of it.
Trying to get all the tool marks out, and I'll go through the different grits, and like I said, work my way down like I do the epoxy.
Ooh, they get warm. Ooh. That's better. Now I gotta be careful right there though. I gotta get some fresh sandpaper for this. I don't want to put a bunch of epoxy in there. Well. Well, epoxy it is. I dropped my scissors. 150. 240. Hey Matthew, yeah, it's gonna look awesome when it's done. It's not much longer. This will be a piece of 320. Let's see, I think I can rip the 320. Yeah, I can get a new piece of 320. Alright, where's my marker? Got it right, 320 on there. I got one of those boxes of sandpaper. Right there we go. Can y'all see that? Ooh, there we go. A bunch of different grits. But I burnt through the 150 and the 240 and had to replace it. And I can't rip that stuff by hand. I gotta have my scissors to cut it, and I dropped my scissors underneath my daggum cabinet just now, so. But now that I got to the other grits, it'll be new pieces. Okay. 400. Let me write it down real quick. There you go. I'll put the marker on there, that way I can keep track of what grid it is. Alright. 600. You're almost done. A new piece of 600 grit now. Ooh, getting warm. go with 1000 on the wet sandpaper, but with no water. I think I need to get a fresh piece of that. Let's see, let's try this piece. There we go. Take some of the lines off. Alright, let's see. Where's my 1500? Alright. This is a piece of 1500. I can lose the mask now for a little bit. Still gonna be full of cedar dust out here, but bulk of it went to dust collector, so that's a good thing. I'm getting my paper towels. I'm fixing to put that Yorkshire polish on there now, and then this one will be ready to put a clip on, and then I'll have to cut the end. But I'll cut the end off and polish that up off the video. But now I'm in my you know, this, a lot of people don't use this for wood, but it's right now I don't have the a friction polish made up that I want to use, and so I don't want to spray no urethane or nothing like that on the piece, so I'm just going to use this because of the wax and the oil that's in there. But eventually I want to start using some shellac and the denatured alcohol and create my own polish to put that glossy shine and seal to it. For the wood pieces, the epoxy pieces, this stuff right here does a good job. But this is going to make it dark. It's going to make the grains pop. And y'all really can't see how pretty it's going to be until I'm done and turn the thing off. It's going to be nice when it's done. I don't need this much polish, but it's just easier because this is dry. It's soaking that stuff up. But this has got the micro abrasives in there, so you know that's gonna help sand it down a little bit more, so it does help it with the polishing part of it, I guess. But most people don't use this to polish wood. They use it for plastics and resins and stuff like that. Alright, I'm going to turn the speed up here once I get most of this, because once I turn it up too fast, it's going to try to start slinging this stuff off. So I'm going to try to get most of it rubbed in good, and then I'll speed it up to kind of
varnish it in there and dry the piece at the same time, because this is just wax. The piece won't be wet when it's done. It'll be completely dry. Yes sir, double tap that screen, hit that like button, give me some happy comments, all that good stuff. I greatly appreciate the support, everybody. I know I might have been absent in some of y'all's videos here lately. I'm watching the lives. I'm dang near in everybody's live. I'll just lurk in the background. I'm either trying to edit or fool with that OBS software or something keeping me busy, but I do pop up in the lives. And then y'all's videos, I am behind on the videos. I said I got to get me a routine going again. Alright, let's turn her up. Try not to put too much pressure on here now. I got to remember that still too. Man, it's just a cheap paper towel. I don't know if I probably had a better polishing cloth or something. It might do better on my epoxy, but with the paper towels like this, if you get hung up right there, it would just rip instead of it ripping your piece loose or something, or whipping you in the process. But this is where I push too hard, because I try to push into the piece to push the wax into the piece as I'm drying it off. And it's probably, it looks like it's taking as much of it as it can. So now I'll wipe my hands off and get a cleaner cloth, paper towel, whatever, and this, I'll go back and forth a few times, and I'll do this with a clean cloth, and then that'll be sure that I get all the extra wax and stuff off, so what's left is actually in the wood. I can't wait to see what this one looks like, because I'm like y'all, I haven't turned it off yet, so I mean, I know it's gonna look good, but I just don't know how defined the grain is gonna look yet. So, all right, anybody still with me? I'm fixing to shut her off, and we'll see what it looks like. So here we go. Turn that down some. Oh, nice. Look at there. I can see some fine scratch lines in there, but I guess I'm getting that from the micro abrasives that I'm using here. I need to take it down, I guess, even finer with the sandpaper and stuff, and then go back over it, but I'm happy with it. And then I'm gonna nitpick the heck out of it, because I know what to look for, I guess, but I still like it. The end's kind of thin. That worries me. But I'll take it off right here and put the clip on there, and I'll be sure to put a good amount of glue in there, so that should stiffen it up and make sure it's pretty strong. But that looks good. That's what I like about that cedar. It's got some pretty grain. Let's see. All right, let me move some stuff over here. I got a mess on this side of the shop. Supposed to be going and looking at a vehicle this afternoon for the wife. I hope it turns out to be a good one, not a daggone lemon. Grumpy has had his fair share of lemons. The past two vehicles I bought have been complete lemons. And, yeah, wiped my bank. I've dropped about 10 grand on 2 trucks in about the past 4 years, and I ain't got but maybe 20 miles on the road between the 2 trucks. Yeah, Grumpy got shafted a few times, to say the least. Alright, let me move stuff off the top. I'm trying to clear my box out, and then I got to move stuff off the lid right here so I can get inside there and hook the camera up. I'm going to try to go ahead and tie the clip on this one too, if anybody's still watching. I hope I'm not going over nobody's lives either. I haven't gotten any notifications. I gotta look. Let's see. All right, gonna get a little seasick, y'all. Hang on. Hopefully I don't hit the stop button. The way I gotta grab my my phone, it's right there by that little X. So I have to be careful. As a matter of fact, I can't stop it once I'm grabbed on here until I unhook the phone. All right, zoom. There we go, unzoom. There we go. Oh, I gotta move my mount around. Got a homemade mount in here holding my phone and stuff, yo. It works. Let's see. Alright. Should have y'all there. Trying to make sure. I always end up coming down here to the bottom and getting everybody out of screen. So try to make sure I have that part in there for sure. Zoom in a little. Whoa, not that much. It won't let me use my volume button to zoom. I have to pinch the screen and my shaky fingers and... Come on. Oh, forget it. I'm leaving it right there. Sorry, y'all. I know y'all probably laughing saying, brother, you gonna make us sick. Alright, taking the piece off the lathe real quick. Drop tailstop. Let me get the vacuum hose off of there. Put it on my mansaw. Try to contain as much of this cedar dust as I can. I'm just cutting the ends off of it right quick. There's the first piece. Sit down. Uh-oh. Dropped it. Last thing too, I dropped stuff. I can't feel how tight I'm grabbing hold of stuff half the time. Alright, don't set it in. No way. Turn it off. Turn it off. There we go. Alright, y'all. I'm sitting down now. Feel a little bit better. Got to get me well, we moved the garage around a little bit out here. I said I got it halfway built up for a room. I just never finished it. But we moved the freezer on the other side. And so I have a little more room out here. And I'm going to extend my table down the wall. So I'm going to move all my stuff down. And then I'm going to... try to redo the area where my lathe is at and drop the table holding my lathe down a few inches and try to find the right height to where I can sit down and work at the lathe. I know that's hard to do on some projects, so I'll still want to keep my table the way it is, you know, the way the lathe is now. So if I try to get on there with bowls or hollowing something out, I'm gonna need to be able to stand up and see what I'm doing. But doing my clips and stuff like that, I think I can do that sitting down. I've seen a couple of lathe turners and got them little mobile setups and stuff where they sit down when they're doing all the work and they do all kinds of stuff. So I think once I set it up and figure it out, I'll be able to do it. And then that will help me out tremendously with my back. Let's see, that's the wrong can. I got a can that's got a bag that holds all my clips. I got a bunch of clips. I got a bunch of those, and then a daggone box of dab spoons to make my dab spoons with. I bought them in bulk. The clips, they got them all over the place, but you really got to shop around to find a decent brand. that don't bend or break the first time you try to open them up. All right, so I got to get back up here in camera for y'all. All right. Now this is still doing vertical. That's another thing is I want to go to the horizontal lives, but I have been running the vertical, trying to help out and get my videos out there more to try to, you know, gain subscribers. You know, I'm like everybody else. I do want my subscription count to go up. You know, I would love to have them crazy numbers and crazy videos going on. That's a good size. Let's see, I'm gonna need to bring it down there. But yeah, I do want the subscribers and all, so I'm gonna run both ways for a while. Sorry, y'all, I had to make that a little bit shorter. It's just quicker to do it that way. Normally I would whittle it down, but it's just easier to jump on it with the bandsaw. Alright, let's see, I'm trying to make sure I'm good here. I think I'm good. Alright, y'all see how it all polished up, looking nice. And then, boom, here's the bottom. So much of it got sanded and polished while it was on the lathe, but I didn't want to take the meat too thin and it break. So after I get the clip tied and it dries, I'll go back and go through. I'll start with the 120 right here, and I'll start sanding that down and use 120 until I start scuffing all of it, and then I'll go through the grits again and then use the Yorkshire and try to get it to match up. But yeah, that's how it's going to be right there, and it'll lose just a little bit of that sheen after a day or two because it's going to soak in a little bit, but it's still going to stay just as pretty. All right, babble. Let me get my thing here. Oh goodness. I'm sorry, y'all. Anybody catch that live yesterday when I went out to the beach? That was walking on the beach. That whooped my old crazy butt. Oh, this is another little piece I've done. I don't know if I've showed this off. This is a piece of pecan, and I did most of this how it kind of reliefs in and then the roof edge. Let's see if I can get it at the right angle. It's got a little ledge around. I carved all that with a knife, and then got it pretty clean and used carbon knives to do that. You know, it's not pretty, but I did that, and then I used my my wood burner. I took a pencil, and of course I sketched in the little 2x4s and stuff like that and put the little dots on there with a pencil, but I took a wood burner and I burned all the detail into it and then painted it up. But I used that to hold my cartridges when I got my little cartridge cup, my 110, oh sorry, goodness, 510 threaded cartridges for my meds. And then of course I showed this off. Let's see, for people that don't know what it is, it's a glass cartridge like that holds my medical marijuana or CBD, whatever I got in there. And you got those full of product or whatever, you drop it out on the concrete, boom, or asphalt, that right there is shatter, and then you're out. Daggum, depends on what you got. If it's live resin or rosin or something like that, you're out $50-$60. So I did the epoxy cover right here and put on there, and hey Pat, and I did getting tongue tied. I did me a little wood spirit face in there and carved it with my my Dremel and everything and my smaller burrs. And then I took the UV epoxy and then painted over it so it would have its shine back and all. But that'll glow in the dark and all that stuff. But but yeah, that's my thing there. And then this is the end of a a live rosin cartridge. And again, it's all medical. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a stoner, but I battle so much chronic pain and anxiety, and I smoke so much. And then on top of that, I do take my CBD religiously. I don't buy the CBD from the shops. I get a water-based CBD from Lucid Hemps, because my body don't digest oils and stuff that good. So edibles and stuff like that, they really don't kick my butt like they do everybody else. I have to like a piece of candy or something like that, if I sit there and suck on the candy or the gummy or something like that and let it dissolve and do it like that, it's like a sublingual dose. I'm getting the medicine through the capillary veins and whatnot in my mouth, and it affects me better that way. But if I digest it and let it go through, I guess I got not the right enzymes or whatever in my liver. I don't know what it is, but yeah, my body just don't. Man, I wish it did, because I got a little bit of COPD from I used to smoke the stinky sticks, the cigarettes back when I was younger. Yeah, doctors diagnosed me with the beginnings of COPD way back in 2000. When did I quit? 2013. So yeah, they tried to diagnose me with COPD back then, and I self-medicated then as well, and so I knew I wasn't getting away from the herbal, and so yeah, I got away from the cigarettes. Now I can't get around daggum cigarettes. People smoke, man, that's you, whatever you do. I don't agree with it, but I also been there and done that, so I know how hard it is to quit. So, but I do nag everybody I know. I wish they would quit, but again, whatever floats your boat. I'm not going to get on that soapbox and make nobody mad. But I quit hanging around a bunch of people because of the cigarette smoke. And heck, I'm a mama's boy, and I don't go inside and sit at my mom's house as much as I used to, because she still smokes and she can't seem to quit. I don't like it, but again, I don't know if it's a mental thing or if it's because of the chemicals and the bad stuff in there, but once I quit cigarettes, if I smell a cigarette, if I get around a cigarette, I can go to somebody's house. Cigarette smoke just lingers. So when you blow that cigarette smoke out, that smoke settles, and there's nicotine and stuff that settles on furniture and stuff like that. I can just lay my arm down and my arm touch something where the smoke has been across, and it absorbs through my skin, and I get a damn migraine. I mean, it hits me and it lasts all day, and it's a distinctive ache. I can tell it's from cigarettes, and then heck, driving down the road, I can drive by somebody's car or somebody in front of me, exhale a cigarette out the window, and that smell and stuff comes into the cab. I smell it, headache. Oh, call me batshit crazy, but it happens. But I don't knock anybody that does it. I just can't socially be around y'all. I mean, I just have to make sure I stay upwind. Can't be downwind. If I'm downwind, I'm going to be smelling it. If I stay upwind from it, I'm good. But you know how that stuff goes. Wind blows around. It's like going to a bonfire. You try to stay away from the smoke, and it's going to follow you. When I'm babbling. Oh, we still got somebody watching? Oh, heck yeah, we got 6 people out there. Thank you so much. Bones, yes, sir. I thought you was working, sir. Don't get in trouble. Right? I mean, that's what I gotta do. And then that's why I stay in my little hole as much as I do, and I don't get out and do the public events that much. Because, I mean, to each their own. Everybody's going to do what they want to do, and I can't hold that against nobody, but it honestly physically affects me, and just gives me a bad headache and whatnot. And then there you go. That grumpy don't need nothing to add to this grumpy disposition, and you got chronic pain going on, migraine on top of that, and just the way my neck flares up, my neck muscles and stuff just stay super tense and stuff. And then a headache is just, and I can't tell half the time if it's my neck flared up causing the headache or if it's just a natural headache, because when my neck gets to bother me real bad, that tension builds up and it turns into a headache at the base of my neck. So yeah, it's just, that's why I kind of stay in my little hole. But like I said the other day, I got to break out of that. I want to be social. I want to be happy-go-lucky like I used to be. And like I said, I let my disability kicking in and stuff, and it really messed with me mentally, But it's been a long road, and I've been doing this almost a year now, thanks to my buddy Jonathan kicking me in the butt. But and this is truly helping.
I still get overwhelmed in people's chats because so many people show up, and then so many people start talking to me or something at one time, and it's like, oh no, Mayday, Mayday. I start bugging out and go back in my hole. That's why I say I lurk in a lot of chats. Because like I said, if they get to, that's Knuckles' chats. I watched Knuckles' channel probably for about a hot month before I ever finally commented in there. Because there's just so many people coming in and it's like overwhelming. But it's like it's like these are some good people. I like this community. I got to start socializing. And so yes sir, Grumpy's trying to come out of his shell. And then when I get medicated, I will babble my butt off. And then I squirrel so daggum easy. I'll lose train of thought like there's no tomorrow. And then people think, oh, he's a stoner. He can't think straight. No, sir. I've had some severe concussions in my time. And then some major sleep apnea that we're just now starting to get under control. So I think I fried a few brain cells holding my breath too long. But we're getting back at it. Let's see. I keep losing camera here. I keep forgetting. I'm watching. I got my phone right here beside me, and I'm kind of watch that to see chat and everything, and then I keep zoning out on the camera up there. But that reminds me that I ain't in the picture. Alright, all I'm doing right here is covering up my pigtail puller. That's what I call my green wrap right here. I dubbed that the pigtail puller. But I wrap, and then I keep tension on this right here. Never let your finger off of that until you pull that green thread back through, or it will unspool and your wrap will be just completely loose. I use that tight wrap to help secure the clip to the stick, and it also adds a little extra strength to the end of the stick. And then now right here, I've choked up on the green, and I'm gonna, ooh, that's tight. Oh, daggone, what happened? No. Look at there, did it? What broke? Something just broke. What broke? That didn't pull through. Oh well, I dropped it too. So okay, here's a prime example. I don't know what just happened right there. I thought I had the line through the puller and it pulled tight like it was, but I thought it broke because it didn't pull out. That's crazy. All right, that's what it is. I was babbling and wasn't paying attention, y'all. All right, all this is right here is some braided fishing line. Matthew suggested it to me because I kept breaking my line like this that I was using. I was using a heavier thread and would double up and was breaking that because I wrap it too damn tight anymore. I was getting discouraged, and then Matthew made that suggestion to try the braided line, and I was like, heck yeah. Let's see. Took me, I'm jumping the gun. It took me a minute to get some, but once I got some, I haven't broke any since. I guess right there, I wasn't all the way, I guess I looped it up somehow and wasn't in the loop and then pulled it free when I pulled it through. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm going to wrap the puller back down again, and I pull it down there real tight to hold it, because again, you want your line tight, but you got to find that little secret spot to where it's not too tight, because if I said too tight, you'd be like me and start breaking stuff. But once I get it wrapped down, let's see, put my glasses back down. I'll hold the line and I start wrapping it back up like this, and I just I'll use my thumb and my finger and kind of lead the line back up towards the top of the clip, and I'll cover that braided line while I'm doing that. And then whenever I pull the pigtail puller back through, then the tail will be hidden underneath the wrap right there, and you won't have any lines or fuzzies coming out. Alright. My hand is cramping like crazy though. I grab this stuff so daggum tight to make sure I'm holding it good. Oh, y'all see it when I grab stuff, I white knuckle every damn thing. And that's one, so I don't drop it. And then two, so I don't drop it, because I can't feel how I'm grabbing stuff most of the time. Bible. Let's see, I'm unwrapping this. One more string around. There we go. Okay, I have not let go of my black thread right there so it don't loosen up on me. All right, this is the end of it here. I'm going to put it through my loop. See, this is where I had to have messed up a minute ago. It must not have been through that loop right. All right, pull it through my loop, and I choke up right here so I can hold that so I don't lose tension right there. Make sure all that's pushed down good and tight. Choke up on that. Oh, there it goes. That's tight. There. See, right there, it pulls straight through. It wasn't grabbing right there a minute ago for some reason. All right, where's my chopping block? All right. Okay, y'all watch my lives. Yes, this is not as zoomed in as it is when I edit my lives. Y'all can see it a little better or when I edit my videos. But that's my wrap. That's my thread. There's a little speck of yellow, green, whatever, right there at the edge. I'm going to cut my line shorter than my wrap. And that way, when I pull this, I won't have any tail sticking out. And then, let's see, so I don't cut my fingers because this will cut you. Y'all got to be careful with that too, that thread. If y'all pull on it too tight and it don't move, it will cut you. All right, I'm going to pull that through. Oh, goodness, I think I'm going to pull that through. Oh, goodness. That's why I needed this kind of line right here. Come on, don't break. There we go, nice. That right there, prime example. I wrap it too tight, and if this would have been anything else, it would have broke. Thank you for that suggestion, Matthew. There you go. You're still watching. That's who it is. Happy Curmudgeon Carving. That's Matthew. That's the one who gave me that tip for the braided line. Yes, sir. Money 420. Hello, sir. How you doing? I hope you're having a great day. Thank you for coming by. Hey, I like that channel name. I'm subscribed to your channel, I do believe. I think I am. I don't know. You do live panels sometimes. I see your live panels, and I lurk in the chat, but I don't never really comment. Like I said, I got some crazy ass anxiety. Oh, I'm sorry for the language. I got some crazy anxiety, so I get in a lot of people's lives. But like I said, I kind of just lurk in the shadows. But there we go. That one's clipped up and tied. I got to put the glue on there now. But yeah, nice. All right, let me move this out of the way. Put this back out of the way so I don't cut my goofy self. All right, where's my glue? There we go. I gotta get a different glue. Working on that too. This works great, but it's got to be super runny. I don't like the thick super glue. It's got to be super runny. That way it'll soak into these threads. I use that to help protect the thread once it's done. And that way if somebody's a little intoxicated or had a little too many Huffle Puffs, they won't burn the thread and it break. I did do it with some epoxy before, but that's just real thick and it doesn't soak in there as good. Like I said, this real, hey Josh, EW, how you doing? But this glue here, like I said, it is super runny, but I don't know the correct word for it. But it works out good. I put, damn, I didn't catch it in time. I put too much on there. That's why I put a paper towel underneath there just in case. But I'll put that glue on there and then it'll start to drip off. And I try to catch it with a toothpick just before it drips. And walk the glue around and make sure all the thread gets covered. I try to keep the glue off of the stick right here once it passes the thread, just so the shine and whatnot, you know, it don't have a difference. And then I used to stain some of my wood whenever I would do the clips, and so I would always tie this part and glue it up before I stained it. And so by doing that, if I did get glue on the clip, it wouldn't soak in right there. So that's more of the reasons why I try to keep it off of the clip beyond the thread, but it's just habit doing it that way now. I still stain my sticks. It's just like I was saying in my videos the other day, I'm on an epoxy fetish right now. I love the way the epoxy comes out in all the clips. It's just awesome colors and stuff. And then it's kind of easier to customize it for somebody, but it not quite be a commission piece. That's another thing. If somebody says, "Hey man, can you make me one and it look like this, this, and this, and this?" I'll say yeah, and I'll try. But I get so daggum crazy over work like that. I try to make it look perfect, and I'll end up getting aggravated, throwing it away, starting over 4 or 5 times, and so I kind of quit doing the commission pieces to that extent because it was making it to where it wasn't fun to do. And I don't want this to be stressful. Like I said, I use this as a therapy. And so, yeah, once it starts becoming stressful and crazy, then I'll bug out and withdraw and quit doing it, you know. And so, no, I don't want to do that. And then I also started the YouTube again as a therapy to kind of hold me accountable, hey Amy, to kind of hold me accountable and make me do projects. You know, I follow so many channels and watch so many people's videos, and then when I wasn't doing that, I was just doom scrolling and wasn't doing my projects anymore. And so that was more reason to, okay, well, if I start the channel, then I'll be more prone because I'll have to make content, you know. And said, well, okay, well, I got to make my roach clips because I don't sell these things like hotcakes and make millions off of it. You know, I might go 2 months without selling any, or I might sell 3 in a week, you know, but it's hit and miss, you know. So yeah, I figured, yeah, I had so many clips made up that I had slowed down on making them. And so, you know, being I got the channel going again, you know, I love my roach clips. So like I said, that's my content. I like doing other stuff too. I like to wood burn, like how Miss June and them has started into the wood burning and stuff. I do that. I have some boards and stuff that I've done before because powder carving was my thing. I got to where I couldn't really hold the powder carver, the Dremel or whatnot, as good with the bits because they were just the motor control on my hands. It was running away from me and it'd get me discouraged and whatnot. So I quit carving, and then I bought a wood burner for my power carving because a lot of Just Carve Rob, Jordy Johnson, a lot of them out there will use a wood burner to highlight and give accents on some of your carvings and some of your pieces and stuff. So I had bought a wood burner for that. Make sure I ain't got no super glue down right there. I had bought a wood burner to do that, and so when I couldn't carve anymore, I used my wood burner, and I've gotten I have to dig them out of the cabinet. Heck, I might be able to reach them. If anybody's out here watching, bear with me. I'm gonna try to grab some of those boards. They're put up in my cabinet right now. I don't know if I can pull them out. Oh, Grumpy got too much stuff out here, y'all. If y'all hear ka-thump, dial 119. Ow. I got too much shit. Oh, I can't reach it, but I want to get it so bad. Here we go. I'm going down, but I got it. Oh. All right. There's more reason why I need to clean my daggum shop up. I'm going to end up breaking my damn neck out here. All right. Mr. Hedricks at Homegrown Aquatics, if he's still in here, I believe he's got one of these. Yeah, I made that. Just a piece of cheap plywood. It's wannabe birch panel plywood or something real thin. The thin stuff. I had a whole sheet of that, so I made a bunch of squares. Then I put me an image on here, wood burned the image, and these here, I wood burned it deep. I cranked up the heat on that burner and burned deep. So there's a real good distinctive line going on for that. And then, let's see, let me get y'all like that. Here we go. This one, then I just took we just had a power flash. took the Dremel and did some wonky lines around it to make it kind of rustic, kind of framed, and then torched, burned everything. But it's another piece of that wood. And then this is my the color pigments I use for my sticks is all in here, but this is the UV resin. I put UV resin on there and kind of painted it on there like that, and then sealed it that way, so it's almost 3D, 2D, whatever you want to call it. It's raised up off of there. I did that one, drew that one out. I did that one, and another one right there. And that, again, it's got the psychedelic colors in there. And then if it don't glow from glow of pigment, it's got black light reactive or glow in the dark acrylic paint on there. Here's another one I did. This one don't have any color. That's just, I stained the wood. I probably put like a golden oak stain over it after I burned it, and then I scorched it with a torch to give it that rustic look. But there's no color on there. It's just a wood burn. This one, I did that one. Drew that out. A little mushroom gnome home, whatever you want to call it. Drew that out, wood burned it, and then painted that. And then that's I gotta find my UV light. Oh, where'd I put it? I need to charge it, so it might not even be bright enough to show. But yeah, most of this paint's either glow in the dark or black light reactive. There it is. Yeah, this is probably the glow in the dark acrylic. Yeah, that's the glow in the dark acrylic paint. But I sealed it up after I did it, you know. So yeah, mostly everything I do will glow. Some way or another it glows. And just it looks better. It's like I said, I did a lot of this stuff to kind of cater to the hippies and whatnot, you know. And then it's just, yeah. But yeah, it's just how I do it, I guess. Guess my style or whatever you want to call it. Let's see, let me get back to some more. Let's see, that's some more. That's just a different shape, drawn out different. I'll turn that light off. And then there's another one I did. That's my art there. I drew that. And then I can't draw fluidly. I have to sketch and draw. And so I'll draw it out on a piece of paper, and it'll be a scribbly mess. You know, I'll erase it 1,000,001 times, and then I'll turn around and transfer it with carbon paper onto whatever I want to put it on. I don't have that good artistic drawing ability. I can. It's weird. I have some awesome drawings I've done before, but a lot of times I have to have a reference if I'm just going to straight draw something. If it's coming out of my head, I squirrel and bounce to so many damn images. I can't keep the image in my head straight to get it on paper, you know. But yeah, this is what I do. And then this is the last little burn. I got one like this already, but I put color to this one. But I'm going to take all these up there with me when I go set up at the dispensary and try to do the clips on the 13th. I'm going to have these up there too, because they're not all medical related, but then, you know, some of them are, and they have that vibe, you know. And then I have all my little wood spirits and stuff. I'm going to ask them, I'm going to ask the people at the event if I'll be able to bring those, bring my wood spirit stuff up and set that stuff up too. You know, I don't know if I want to keep it straight 420 related, or if I can bring all my wares up, but they have invited me to come up and sell just my clips and stuff for sure. You know, so that 100% will be up there. And like I said, I'm going to try to bring the rest of my stuff up there as well. Let me put my glasses on and check chat. Hey, Shea Bear. Hey, thank you for coming by. Thank you, EW. Thank you, Amy. Let's see. Take it off the board and roll it. There you go. No, I'm not set up for that. I wish that would be cool. My lathe is small enough to probably set up on side of a table or an event like that somewhere. I don't have a great big one, but it's just I don't know if that would be the dust and everything that would be coming off and the mess that would make. That would, you know, if I did all wood, it might not be that bad, but doing the epoxy and everything, that stuff makes a mess. So I really wouldn't be able to turn nothing up there. I do have dreams. I've had a bunch of daydreams to where if I ever got crazy enough to actually be able to start doing craft shows and stuff, I've seen a few vendors that had large closed-in trailers, and they've had that set up. They've had like their scroll saw in there cutting out scroll saw boards while they were set up, and then you know, if I was closed up like that to a degree, I would feel more. I just don't want to make a mess, you know, and have to have a lot of cleanup at the event or something like that, you know. So if I was able to keep it all closed up and contained, heck yeah, that would be awesome. Because then I could zone out in my work. I'd be nervous at first, but then that would just make it easier for me to zone out and not pay attention to everybody. But yeah, that's cool. Like I said, I like this cedar. Like I said, my buddy Jonathan at Hendrix Homegrown Aquatics, he bought me this. And there's a lot of like two-tone pieces in there. There's a lot of pieces that's just the heartwood, and there's a lot of pieces that's just the sapwood. So I have a big old diversity of this cedar to play with. It's just, like I said, I have to limit myself to how much of it I can mess with at a time. It burns my nose up. But and then here we go. This was in the lives the other day. These were my epoxies. That's what I'm fascinated with right now. I love using the wood and all the wood grain and stuff like that. I love the beauty of natural woods and stuff. But like I said, I've ADHD, whatever you want to call it, squirreled off or hyper focused on the epoxy. Because there's so much you can do with it, but then again, there's so many ways you can mess up trying to do that. So it's been a learning curve, and I'm still using just cheap generic Amazon epoxy and stuff like that. And there's more sure enough recipes, I guess you could call it, to make your blanks to, you know, they're going to be hard enough and not bend, and how much pigment to use and stuff like that. But everything I use, like I said, I got to gauge it as I go, because I'm just now learning. I'm new to it all, but I'm babbled, I'm sure. But thank y'all for watching, and this is what we did. Like I said, I'll go back after the live and I'll sand this part down watching somebody else's video here this afternoon and polish that end up, and that'll be today's. And then I'm going to do a bunch more of these. I probably won't be recording all of it, and all that way I can get a bunch done. But yeah, I need to stack up for that event. And then I'm going to put this on the lathe after a while. This was some leftover epoxy from when I was making my blanks. I was just pouring it off into a little plastic cup. And so I'll mount this on something and then try to turn that down and make a dab spoon out of that. Let's see, where's mine? I ain't gonna be able to find it. Yeah, okay, right here. This is like a radish, and it almost reminds me of one of the little characters off of Mario Brothers. I'm showing my age, y'all. But this is cedar here. Now, this is not the cedar from the box. This is a different piece of cedar, but it's dried and split a little bit. But I sealed this one with a clear coat, a polyurethane spray. And but this is the dab spoon I kept for myself. I'll scrape my bowls and stuff like that with it whenever I'm smoking. But I'm gonna do something like that out of that little blank there. But yeah, and it'll have some glow, because of course that's all got glow and different colors and stuff in there. But almost see-through on some of it. Let's see. But yep, that's Grumpy. I just play and babble and do goofy stuff to mainly do it to keep myself. Hey, Miss Francis, how are you doing? I was fixing to get off of here. I'll hang out and talk for a few minutes. I did this one right here today. I spun this one on the live today. It's a piece of cedar, two-tone, got the heartwood and the sapwood in there. I spun it down and then just went through the grits with my sandpaper and then used that Yorkshire polish to kind of somewhat finish it. Like I said, it won't have as much shine on there in a couple of days. It's soaked in good, but it'll still have that cedar smell. And it shows the grains off pretty good like that. But yep. Let's see. What else? I got anything else in here? No, I got a bunch of roach clips that I got to finish. Let's see, here's one. This is a piece of cedar that I did. This came from the same batch, but it'll stand up on its own. It had a captive ring on there. I was doing it with a captive ring, but it busted on me, and so I didn't want to glue it and leave it on there because then somebody said, "Oh, he didn't spin it like that." So I just knocked it on off and polished up what was left, and so that was the shape I had from that one. Oh yeah, cedar's awesome, but that's the bad thing about being closed up in my garage the way I am. You know, I have a shop vac to catch it all, but you still have the microfine particles that's going to get through those filters. I don't have the HEPA filter on the shop vac. I have just a standard filter that came with it, but I have a dust deputy and a bucket, so it separates the bulk of the dust and the shavings and everything. So when I open my vacuum cleaner up, it's pretty much dry and clean. There'll be a fine powder dust on the inside of it, like a fine baby powder. And I'll blow that out every now and then, and then I'll blow that filter out every now and then. So, you know, I still get a little bit of particles and stuff in here. So I'll open my door up in a little while, turn my fans on, and that'll help get some of it out of here. But yeah, it's fun though. Yeah, well, it does. When you take any of that wood, cedar, anything that you do with that wood, once you start sealing it, you put an oil or any kind of clear coat or spray, it's all gonna darken up just a little bit. But like you said, the longer it sits in there, it can darken up even more. That's like this piece of wood right here. This is a piece of bokate, if I'm saying it right. I got from Mr. Johnny from Johnny Lathe Crafts. When I got it from him, it was way darker than this, and you couldn't hardly see the grain lines in there. And then when I spun it, it was, you know, it brightened up and it showed more of like a yellowish gold color in that wood, and then it had the darker lines in there. But I sealed it the same way. I put that Yorkshire on there, and so I didn't seal it completely. So the wood, I guess, is slowly oxidizing and whatnot and darkening back up as it sits here. But awesome wood though. But yeah, a lot of the wood, when you seal it, it's something about it. It is dark. Even if you use clear stain or clear seal coat, it's still gonna darken that wood up a touch. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's the whole thing about sealing a piece. You know, sometimes you'll carve something and it looks awesome, and then you put the oil or something on there to seal it and it goes super dark and you feel like you messed it up or something. So yeah, sometimes you seal it, sometimes you don't. But awesome, everybody. I got to get off of here because I said we're supposed to try to go this afternoon and look at a vehicle for my wife. Everybody pray for me. Keep some fingers crossed that this thing is dependable. Because we're on a tight budget, so we don't really have the money to buy something and then have to put a bunch of money into it to fix it. So, and we can't hit no car lot and afford no payment, so we got to try to pay out cash outright. So yeah, we're gonna go look at one this afternoon, and hopefully it's a good one. Thank you, Miss Francis. Thank you, Amy. All right, everybody that's hung out and stuck around with me, I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to turn this off and quit with my crazy babble. Y'all have an awesome day, and thank you so much for the support. I greatly appreciate it, y'all. Y'all have a great day. God bless everybody and stay safe.